the damage that living with damp and mould can have on our homes and our health. Now he's finding out the steps to take in order to get rid of it for good.
Earlier in the show, we saw the impact damp and mould can have on houses and the people having to live in them.
It's just damp everywhere. Like, one morning I woke up at 4 in the morning and it was raining in my toilet.
No one wants to live in the conditions that Tammy and her family face day in and day out. But damp problems vary from home to home and in size and scale. For most cases, though, there are lots of tips and techniques that you can use yourself to help improve the situation. We'll be getting some answers for Tammy later, but for now, damp-proofing specialist Paul Hughes has got some tips for dealing with less severe damp in your home.
This house is massively common of damp problems that we see in the UK. It's predominantly caused by condensation and moisture being held in the house. If we can reduce the amount of moisture that's held in the property, then we can literally stop mould growth and stop condensation issues forming in the property. The single biggest thing that we can do, and easiest thing for the homeowner to do, is ventilation.
The most straightforward way to ventilate your property may seem slightly off-putting at this time of year.
As we can see, we've got condensation forming on these windows here. A great way of dealing with this would just be simply to open the windows. Even if you can do it for 5 minutes, cold air can't hold moisture, so we've got dry air coming into the property and displacing our moist, humid air that we've created through the day.
And there are some rooms that tend to produce more moisture in the air than others, the first being the kitchen.
Close doors when you're cooking and try and open a window to let as much moisture escape from the room as possible. We'd ideally have another extractor fan installed in here that was working all the time, because we're only using the extractor hood when we're cooking. We're using this kitchen with a washing machine, tumble dryer, we might make a cup of tea and boil a kettle, none of which we're going to turn the extractor hood on for. With another fan, almost certainly we wouldn't see these moulds starting to appear on these cold external walls.
The kitchen can be a popular spot for drying clothes when it's cold outside, but Paul has a better suggestion.
We can put them in the bathroom. If we've not got space, we can put them into the shower or the bath on a maiden, shut the door, open the windows, or turn your fan on. That way we're not spreading moisture around the house, so we're not creating problems anywhere else in the property. We're getting rid of that moisture that's drying off these clothes immediately.
And always best to keep doors to both bathrooms and kitchens closed, although elsewhere, open doors allow cross-ventilation and improve air circulation. Another way to reduce damp is by using a dehumidifier. They're around £100 for rooms up to 20 square metres, although mini versions are available at £50 for smaller rooms. But it's not just inside the home where you can take steps to reduce damp.
Good maintenance externally in our properties is critical. We can see on this property that we've got pointing missing. This hole's literally going right the way through inside the building, where these are areas that wind-driven rain can be pushed straight into the building. We've got moss growing out of our mortar joints, plants growing out of the wall.
This causes penetrating damp, like we saw with Tammy earlier.
Remember, wet walls are cold walls, and they exacerbate the problem of condensation and mould inside properties. We'd need to rake out and clear out all this moss and mould and plant growth from the mortar joints. We can then repoint it, and we can apply, very simply, a silicone spray on the surface. It's a silicone seal externally, so water just beads off it.
Silicone sprays are available online and at most hardware stores for between £5 and £15. Even just following a few of these tips could help you reduce the amount of damp and mould in your home. But as is the case with Tammy and so many others across the UK, some issues require much more than a simple solution.